Everyone, this is the Next Day podcast, episode 89 with Mikel,
And Tanyka.
where we have conversation on different topics. We're going to have different topics on today's episode, and would you want to present that? Plus, me and Tanika will be talking about the snap election towards the end. Um, but Tanika will give you the original plan of
Yeah.
today's episode. Go ahead.
Okay. So we're going to be talking about a woman who had to sell her house due to it crumbling around
Mhm.
her. We're going to talk about Ford wanting to make Ontario Place be the top tourist attraction in Ontario. And we're going to be talking about alcohol companies that are suing LCBO in response to the tariffs situation.
Okay. Interesting. Right. Okay. Let's get on to this topic.
Yep.
These topics. Sorry, my bad. Go ahead.
These topics. Okay, so
Yeah.
the first topic. So Kim Sanford put away her, as she was putting away her china dishes after Christmas back in 2018, she noticed that her cabinet doors refused to shut. Sanford, who's a 59-year-old retired nurse from a small community near Kawartha Lakes, didn't think much of that at the time, but would soon learn the problem ran deep. Because obviously, like if you're noticing different things in your home, the house settles, things shift when that happens. So, of course, you're not going to think anything of it. Um, Her house, she ended up telling CTV News Toronto, was sloping and sinking into the ground. Now, 6 years later, Sanford said she's drained her savings in a legal pursuit to hold the former owner and home inspector responsible for what she claims was an attempt to hide the home's crumbling foundation, saying, quote, "It's completely taken everything we have. We're in debt. We have no savings left. We've gone without food to pay bills." In the summer of 2018, Sanford and her husband bought the three-bedroom century-old house in the Kawarthas for $285,000. That is an incredible amount of money in this day and age, because I mean, 2018 is not that long ago. Before making the purchase, they hired a home inspector to examine the property. He produced a 46-page report which found the structure to be in compliance with the
Mhm.
Ontario Association of Home Inspectors Standards of Practice. Though Sanford didn't know it at the time, her faulty cabinets were only the beginning of her troubles. In the months that followed, she said she started having to wrap herself in an electric blanket to get through the winter. No matter how high she turned her furnace, heat continued to escape the home. Frustrated, Sanford's husband soon descended to the basement in search of the issue. He cut a small hole in what he believed to be an exterior wall, but instead discovered an opening into the home's foundation filled with crumbling rubble and boulders. So again, like this should be something that is getting caught in a home inspection when you're purchasing the home. So clearly their inspector just completely dropped the ball. Quote, "You could tell once upon a time it was a wall. It was supposed to be holding up the house. The two stories above are essentially airborne. On the other side of the basement wall, beneath a deck that wrapped around the house, he also found a gaping hole where the brutal breeze gusted inside. You could walk right in from through the foundation." An engineer's report conducted in June of 2022 to determine the extent of the damage showed photographs of a collapsed, quote unquote, and dangling, quote unquote, stone rubble foundation sloping inward. It's like a seesaw with no weight on one side. When reached for comment, the former owner said they could not discuss the matter while it was before the courts, which is very true, you can't, but pointed to a statement of defense dated July 2021, which claims the home was sold on an as-is basis.
Mhm.
That's the problem, though.
Mhm.
That's the issue here.
Yeah, yeah.
The former owners never lived in the home, the claim states, and instead rented it out to tenants after purchasing it in 2011.
Right.
Doesn't matter. It's still a responsibility to make sure the home is as it should be. You are the landlords. In the statement, they maintain they made no attempt to fraudulently or negligently conceal any issues with the home and that the wall in question predated their ownership. Okay, so someone dropped the so third party them then, third party the other owners. That's what lawsuits are about.
Mm,
The claim says the contract stated the buyer would be responsible for repair costs after closing and that the listing had communicated the home needed work, with
right.
tenants reporting moisture in the basement and garage. While the MLS listing did say the home would be sold on an as is basis, Stanford said the actual contract of purchase made no such mention. One of the core principles of real estate law can be summarized by the phrase buyer beware, says Bob Aaron, a Toronto real estate lawyer, independent of the proceedings. Honestly, in any contract law, whether that's real estate or going into buying a car with somebody or something,
Mm,
it is buyers beware is a general term for any contract. It is unfortunately how this works.
mhm,
Um, so simply put, buyers make purchases at their own risk. That's what buyer beware means. Unless the sellers knew and hid defects that made the property dangerous or uninhabitable, they are under no obligation to disclose anything to the buyer, Aaron said. They're going to have to prove that there was a misrepresentation, which is not an easy thing to do. When it comes to home inspecting, he added that it's not an examiner's job to rip out walls and uncover deficiencies with a house, but rather the process is observational and non-intrusive. That's fair.
mm,
The company Sanford hired did not respond to requests from CTV News. Home inspectors inspect what they see. They don't inspect what they can't see. While Sanford's legal action continues, so does a lingering fear that her house will one day crumble completely. She still loves her home, but feels it's no longer a safe haven. You're living in your stress. You can't go to a safe spot because a safe spot is your house. I just want everyone to know that this can happen to them. This is how badly you can get burned. So that's that's that article.
mhm,
We'll go on to the second topic now. So, Ontario Premier Doug Ford further dug in on his decision to close the Science Center, which we never did really talk about when it was happening. But um, he touted his plans to overhaul Ontario Place, claiming he wants the waterfront attraction to become the country's top tourist destination. Um, okay. Speaking at an unrelated event, the premier said he planned to make Ontario Place the country's best tourist attraction and claimed the Ontario Science Center's current location was a sleepy little neighborhood. Damn. Okay. Um, Ford said he believed that once the redevelopment of Ontario Place, which includes a revamped music stage, spa, okay, and a
mhm.
new home for the Science Center. So that's where they're planning for the Science Center, the new home at Ontario Place, which honestly, I don't think that's a bad idea because where Ontario Center is currently located, I would agree with him in the sense of it's not a place that most people want to necessarily go to. Like, if you
Right,
already have it somewhere in the core, like, everything's at the core, you
right.
know? So I think that does make sense.
I mean, what's he trying to like build there? Like, do you know?
At
Is it
Ontario Place?
yeah, like to replace Ontario Place? Are they just basically
Well,
uh rebuilding the Ontario Place, or are they just like basically
the
uh
rebuilding is the wrong term to use because Ontario Place is already an open space. So it's more of they're revamping it. They're
revamping?
they're yeah, they're
Yeah,
basically trying to give Ontario its spark back in a
Uh-huh.
sense, right? Because
Yeah.
obviously, Ontario Place for those for Americans
Mhm.
or people who don't live in Ontario, Ontario Place was a part of like the core. It's it's by the waterfront kind of area there.
Mm,
Um, and basically, this is where they do like the air show every year in the summer. It's usually an Ontario Place. You can also catch it at the X if because the X is on the other side.
mm,
When it comes in, an Ontario Place had like the IMAX theater. It was like a little kind of um a low key amusement park at one point when I
right.
was a kid. Um, so that's kind of what Ontario Place used to be.
Mhm.
Now the amusement park closed down many, many years ago.
Right.
Um, and Ontario Place is kind of sat there, not really doing much. Um, so now
Yeah, yeah, I did heard about some of the damage that you have on the ceilings, I believe. It's that's true.
that's an Ontario Science Center.
So, yeah.
The Science Center had damage.
Mhm.
Um, so basically what was left kind of there at Ontario Place was the IMAX theater. So now what they're planning to do is I don't know if there already is a music stage on Ontario Place, but they're building a new music stage. They're building a spa, which I don't think a spa was ever there before. Um, and they're also that is now going to be the new home for Ontario Place. Sorry, Ontario Science Center is at Ontario Place.
Mm,
Um, so that's the plan and why he's hoping to make this a tourist attraction because on the other side of things, if you think about it, it's a little, like I said, smart. When CNE comes in every year, which comes in the last couple of weeks before Labor Day weekend,
right.
or yeah, I think it's every 2 weeks and then it leaves after Labor Day weekend.
Yeah.
Um, people will go between the two sides. People will go from the CNE to Ontario Place and vice versa.
Mhm.
So if you have people already there at the X, you might have those people being like, okay, let's go over to Ontario Place. Oh, look, there's a science center. So let's go to the science center now.
Yeah.
I think, that's actually, there's only so much you could do at the X, honestly. So, like,
Mhm.
I think it's a really smart idea to do that.
That's good. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is a smart idea. So hopefully, yeah,
Yeah.
they ramp it in a way that, it like you said, like it tracks tourists and then tracks younger, new generation of kids.
Mhm.
Because like I know, like for a period of time, like not a lot of people were visiting the science center or the Ontario Place in general. So like, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think it's definitely a good idea to do it. And yeah. So, what his goal is, Doug Ford here, his goal
Mhm,
is,
mhm,
um, it will become more popular with tourists than the CN Tower,
mhm,
which, if done right, it very well could be. Because, I mean, again, even less than Ontario Place, there's only so much you could do at the CN Tower. You can either go to the restaurant, which is,
yeah.
not everyone can go to the restaurant all the time. I think you have to pretty long reservations and
Or you
stuff.
can go all the way up to the
Or you
elevator.
can go all the way up
Yeah,
um, to the
important.
observation area.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I've done it.
Yeah.
It's
Eh,
cool.
yeah,
Been
but
I've been twice.
yeah,
Went with family.
expensive, right?
It is expensive.
Yeah.
It is expensive. I mean, when me and my ex went after we got married,
Mhm,
it was like at the time again, this was 10 years ago.
mhm,
It was like $80+ to go, just the two of us.
mm.
And that's just to go inside, nothing
I
else.
see. I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's
Mhm.
expensive. I'm sure it's even more
Yeah,
expensive
yeah.
now. Um, So he said, quote, mark my words, it will be the number one tourist attraction in all of Canada. Not just Ontario, but Canada.
Okay. He's making a statement. Okay.
He is making a
Yeah,
statement.
watch out other provinces. He's saying that.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Not even Wonderland. Forget it. The CN
Understand.
Tower has about 1.2 million people. Let's all agree that's a pretty good tourist attraction.
Yeah.
But with Live Nation, with the bands, we have the water park there, and still there's a whole part of Ontario Place that hasn't been developed. Once they see it, people, their jaws will drop, and more tourists will come there. The premier did not elaborate on which parts of Ontario Place have not yet been developed, or if he plans to develop them further.
Mm,
Internal government documents previously obtained by the Ontario NDP had hinted at a phase two for the Ontario Place expansion, which could have included filling a portion of Lake Ontario.
mm-hmm,
A September 2020 document explained, quote, phase two contemplates development of a large-scale entertainment, retail, and restaurant destination on a portion of the East Island and mainland.
mm,
The infrastructure minister ruled that out earlier in the year, saying that the public vision announced in April 2023 is what we are building today.
right.
Ford also appeared to back away from a plan to build underground parking in Ontario Place. The province has already signed an agreement to provide parking spaces near to the spa development.
Mm-hmm,
An Auditor General report found in 2023 that the agreement signed by Ontario with Thermi, the company building a water park and spa at Ontario Place, requires it to build the parking lot within 650 meters of the spa. The contract between Thermi and the Ford government included a quote financial penalty if it failed to keep that promise.
right.
We haven't confirmed the underground parking space because it costs so much to build underground. Very true. We'd like to build as much on top without prohibiting the view.
Okay.
In pitching his new vision for Ontario Place once again, Ford took a swipe at a quote small percentage of people who make a lot of noise and, according to the premier, don't want the government to spend money on its legacy project. So, yes, we'll see.
Mhm, okay.
Okay, so let's move on to
Should be interesting to
should be
see that.
interesting. Yeah,
Yeah. Go ahead.
let's move on to the my final topic.
Yeah.
So this is the LCBO situation, and Mikel, for you, it's City News. Um, Several prominent alcohol conglomerates are suing the Liquor Board of Ontario, LCBO, over the alcohol retailer's 2023 decision to penalize suppliers for noncompliance with contradictory price policies. Actually, this is not had to do with tariffs because this is 2023. Numerous spirit suppliers, including Crown Royal, Canadian Club, JP Wiser's, 40 Creek, which is a Canadian brand actually, because I get that from my grandpa sometimes, Bacardi Rum, and El Jimador Tequila, filed a court application with the Ontario Superior Court of Justice to declare what Spirits Canada called a quote controversial LCBO pricing term invalid and unenforceable. The suppliers have also alerted the Competition Bureau of Canada, claiming that the LCBO's enforcement of its pricing term is, quote, an abuse of dominance with major anti-competitive implications for pricing and product choice impacting all Canadian consumers.
Say it again. Who's suing the LCBO guy?
You want the companies again?
Yeah. Company.
Crown Royal,
Uh-huh.
Canadian Club, JP Wiser's, 40 Creek, Bacardi Rum, and El Jimador Tequila.
And they all hold US products, right?
So no, this has actually, I thought it was about the tariffs. It's not about the tariffs.
Mhm.
So it's not just about that, but not
Oh,
all of, yeah, so not all of them are American. Like I said, 40 Creek is Canadian. I
mhm.
think it's actually Ontarian.
Right, right, okay.
Um, and then obviously like Bacardi, I think is Barbados. I think it's Barbados, but I may be wrong, but Caribbean and nonetheless. So Yeah, it's not just American. No.
Okay.
As spirit suppliers, we have always appreciated our longstanding strategic partnership with the LCBO. Cal Bricker, President and CEO of Spirits Canada, said in a statement, quote, "We are disappointed that we have had to refer the LCBO's contradictory policies to the courts, but at this time and amid retaliatory measures by the LCBO, we have been left with no other option." In May, Spirits Canada threatened to remove various alcoholic products from LCBO shelves. Yeah. What followed was an unprecedented strike between the LCBO and its employees. Oh, oh, that's
Huh.
they LCBO did strike this year, didn't or last year, I should say,
Yeah,
right?
last year, yeah. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
why. I didn't know that was why.
Mhm,
Huh. Okay. Something, I mean, they kind of seem to have started, but hey, okay.
mhm,
Um, which only ended, I think it was they had striked for a while, right?
mhm.
It was a few weeks that they were out.
Yeah, it was a few weeks, yeah.
Yeah, not as long as Canada Post, but we won't talk about that.
Yeah. Mhm,
Um, in a news release issued on this would have been a while back now, but Spirits Canada said that for months suppliers have been trying to resolve the issue of the LCBO suddenly levying what it alleges is, quote, tens of millions of dollars in penalties for alcohol products sold more than a year earlier.
mm,
Spirits Canada represents almost 70% of the spirits products sold by the LCBO and
mhm,
nearly 35% of all products sold by the LCBO. Like, you can't be messing with the spirits, honestly, because I
mhm,
think, like, with spirits, it's not as easy to get spirits anywhere else but at LCBO.
mm.
Like, if you want to purchase them yourselves, like, you can get wine maybe at a convenience store, getting cheap wine, but
Yeah, yeah,
you might be able to get that or beer. But
yeah,
spirits is like, I can't even think of anywhere else you would go
yeah, yeah.
to buy spirits but LCBO. Um, the LCBO called the claims inaccurate and highly misleading to consumers, saying, quote, "The fact is that when suppliers do not honor our legal agreements on consumer protection, the only people that lose are Ontarians. By breaching the terms contained in our purchase order terms and conditions that require the LCBO receive the same or lower price as other Canadian liquor jurisdictions, LCBO customers are unfairly made to pay more for beverage alcohol than other consumers across the country.
Mhm, mhm,
These are not retroactive tax bills, fines, or penalties, but rather pricing chargebacks levied in accordance with terms of our long-term contracts. Our
mm,
position remains that it would not be fair to let a few suppliers gouge Ontario consumers. And I wonder how things are now with the tariff situation.
mhm,
That's
mhm.
that's it for me. That's it for me.
All right, thank you for the topics. So yeah, I did say earlier from the starting that we're going to a little bit talk about the snap election. So Mark Carney has announced there will be a snap election,
Mhm.
April 28th. So a lot of
Oh,
the
like
Canadian,
we all have to vote by then. April 28th.
yeah, yeah, April
Damn,
28th, yeah.
that's right around the corner. I
Yeah,
need 2 weeks
yeah,
less.
yeah. It's snap. That's why I think that's why it's called snap. Like
Well, yeah, no, I understand. Snap. We're doing this
it's,
quick. Yeah.
but yeah. So Canadians will be able to go to the polls by that date. Um, but yeah, it's gonna be Mark Carney, Pierre Poilievre, and Jeremy Singh. If I s- said his last name right, and then I
Yeah.
don't know who is the Green. I don't know if the Green Party
The Green
is.
Party is in the running. I don't
Oh,
know his name. It's a
yeah,
guy. I don't
yeah.
know his name though.
I'll find that out right now. But like,
Okay.
but yeah, um, yeah, basically, it's gonna be someone's gonna be Prime Minister of Canada,
Well, yeah,
and
duh.
yeah, so there's gonna be um the one the one that's sitting or the one is gonna be a new Prime Minister. So
Mhm.
yeah, um, so what are we doing for before then, Tanika, or on that?
Like, in terms of an episode?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So, well, we're doing this in the moment because this was something I'm like, I need to figure out the date of this.
Yeah,
And I
yeah. It's
never
all
got
good.
to do that. So
It's okay.
April 28th, I don't know exactly when we'll be getting the news back. It won't be obviously on the 28th. So I think we can allow a few days wiggle room. Um, so we can either push it. We do have an episode that's supposed to be coming May 1st. That's only a few days after.
Yeah,
Um, so maybe we can switch some stuff around and do that, or
yeah.
we do a special episode. We can also do that.
We'll be
Maybe that will be easier.
yeah, we'll
And
be talking. Yeah, we'll be probably talking about their policies, all three or four of the parties.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, that's obvious. Yeah. And hopefully they all have policies that we can actually talk about.
yeah,
Um, so
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Okay.
hopefully no surprises, yeah,
Yeah, no, yeah, no surprises.
no
Hopefully.
crazy people talking about they're eating the dogs or anything like that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
forgot about
So,
the people party. Oh, jeez, hold on.
oh, we gotta talk about them too.
Yeah, I think they're
We know we're not paying attention to them, right? We all know this, right?
yeah, they're
I have nothing to say on the people party because I barely remember
is
they
it the
exist.
people party? People party of Canada. Yeah, that's what it's called. People party of Canada. They are just like crazy right wingers, like in
Oh
my
yeah,
opinion.
no.
Yeah,
Mm-mm. Mm.
yeah. But yeah, I think they're up for the running as well. But
They
yeah, I don't
they
think
want
they'll
to
win.
make Canada great again, I guess. I don't know. So,
Yeah,
um, yeah, no, thank you.
yeah.
But yeah, like we'll figure out what we'll do. I think maybe the thing that will make the most sense is just do a special episode um once it is announced, instead of switching things around.
Mhm,
I'll just have to um put a different episode in the spot of the original
mhm.
scheduling for this election. So yeah, that's it. I think it would be easier to do a special episode. So we don't have to move
Okay.
stuff around. But yeah, so we'll do
Yeah.
that and
I think the Green Party leader is Elizabeth May. I might be mistaken. I don't know if
I
that's the
saw a man. I
is
don't
it a
know what
man?
maybe I'm wrong.
I might be wrong as well. So maybe we'll like as when we get the day gets closer, we'll look into it a little more on that. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Have they figured out like do we know what their policies are at this point? Is there
I
anything
haven't
like
seen
that
like I
there?
haven't seen anything on like the website. I only see like you
Okay.
to sign up um on the conservative side, but like I haven't dig deep yet on the liberals or the NDP. But like I know Pierre just announced like a couple of policies today
Hmm.
about the TFSA, and then
Hmm.
I just we need to just dig deep on that and stuff. And plus, they're probably going to be announcing more as the date as it gets closer. Like so, like more rallies, etc., etc. Mark
Yeah.
Cannon might announce something, and then etc.
I mean,
So
it's a very short amount of time 'cause I mean
y- yeah,
that's only a month away. So hopefully a month away from when we're recording this.
yeah,
Um, so hopefully
yeah,
we get a little more detail as to where everybody
yeah.
stands.
Yeah, the others, yeah, and their
Yeah.
policies, yeah. Okay, all right. So this ends this episode 89 of the Next Tape podcast. The Next Tape podcast is available now on all podcast platforms. We also have a website. Oh, my bad. I went all the way down there and I forgot. Did I? Oh, no, 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 no. Hold on. We
What
also
happened?
have a website called Tanyka. My bad.
Nextdaypodcast.podpage.io,
Yeah. And where else are we at?
Facebook and Instagram at Next Day Podcast, and Twitter, TikTok, and Blue Sky at Next Day Pod.
And you can contact us on email at mikeltanika@gmail.com. That is mikeltanika@gmail.com. So we talked about all three topics. Would you like to confirm the three topics,
Yep.
Tanika?
So we talked about a woman's home that is
Mhm.
crumbling around her that she has to sue for. We talked about Ontario Place and its new the revamping of Ontario Place. And we talked about Spirits Canada having to sue LCBO for making life difficult for them to get the spirits on the shelves. Put the spirits on the shelves is all we want. We want the vodkas. We want the tequilas. We want all that.
Mhm.
Come on now.
That's fine. But yeah, and then we just briefly talked about the stamp election. Uh, that's coming on April 28th. So yeah. So that's basically it, I believe. Do you have anything you want to say, or you know?
Not really. No, I think that's it.
Okay. So I'm Mikel, and
And I'm Tanika.
we're out until
Uh, Thursday.
Thursday. All right. Peace.
Bye.